certainly we know that we need better transit service in this region, especially for people, students, seniors, people who are lower income, workers trying to get to work. And there's been a lot of advocacy at the local level to better integrate transit between Brantford, Cambridge, KW, and Guelph. And that simply doesn't exist right now. I mean, especially after Greyhound service shut down. And so what the Ontario Greens are calling for is we're saying, hey, we want to work with all the municipalities in the Grand River region to connect our communities. We're committing to uploading 50% of the operating costs for transit from municipalities to make it easier for municipalities to provide reliable, affordable transit for folks.
And to add to that, people's memories around here they're long. They remember being able to take a train to Paris and to the connection to Brantford. And Hespeler and Preston talk all the time about how they had a nice train connection and how that's to this day has been a big part of them being closest to communities, even though, Cambridge is a forced amalgamation. At the same time, Preston and Hespeler, even they have the 401 between them, they still feel connected because there was a time they had a train and they could go back and forth so much easier. So these are important things to people. They're so important in their memories and the ability to stay that connectivity. And we have a number of students. We have the University of Waterloo Architecture School down here. We have Conestoga College students. These are all students who would like to be able to they're from Brantford, they're from Guelph, they're from the larger area here, and they would very much like to be able to travel much easier. It shouldn't be that hard to get from Cambridge to Brantford, should it? We know yesterday I was up canvassing in North Preston area, and there's a lot of Conestoga College students up there, and this is what they were talking about. They feel really landlocked here. They feel locked into Cambridge, and they're like, what are my options here? What are my options to come and go from home? My home is in Brantford or something close by, and it's over and over again. I hear this, and even in my own family experience, when my child was growing up, my child's off to university now, but when they were growing up, I remember they were able to grab the Greyhound and go on trips with friends here and there. And I remember thinking how cool that was, that they had this independence, that they could go. And then the Greyhound got shut down. There was a situation where I knew a young person who had a job in Brantford. They lived in Cambridge. They had a great job opportunity in Brantford, but they didn't have a vehicle. And it was the connection was somebody outside. Somebody from Oakville thought, this is a great idea. You should get this job. It was a fantastic job opportunity. And they had no way to get there because they didn't own a car. And it was just such a shame because we should be able to get between Cambridge and Brantford a whole lot easier than we do.
I can't tell you how many people I know live in Guelph, work in Cambridge, work in Guelph or KW or Brantford. And my daughter recently graduated from Laurier. And I remember her very first semester there, and it was Thanksgiving. And I was like, well, just bring the GO bus back home to Guelph for Thanksgiving weekend. And she's like, okay, Dad, that's a great idea. I bought her, a Presto card or whatever. And so she phoned me up. She's like, Dad, it's telling me it's going to take me 2 hours to get to Guelph from like Waterloo. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Extending the ION system, which I know is planned, and we certainly support that planned extension into Cambridge. But you know what? Right now, in the short term, we can better utilize buses, and we can better utilize even existing municipal buses, particularly if the province can come in with the funding support the municipalities need. I mean, the bottom line is municipal budgets are under a lot of pressure right now, obviously due to the pandemic. I mean, they're under pressure in the best of times, let alone, with COVID. And so having the province step in and provide the funding support that municipalities need to utilize their existing bus fleet, but also to be able to purchase more, to have a more integrated system is absolutely the way to go. You need to be reaching out to all levels of government, yep, particularly, and I would even include the federal government as well. So I would be writing your regional councillors, your municipal councillors, your MPP, your MP. There's local transit advocacy groups within the region and also locally at the municipal level. So get involved, get active, keep putting pressure on governments. I've been meeting with more and more of my constituents as well as folks in the region. And then, I would say, if I could put my partisan hat on for a second, elect people like Carla and myself as your MPPs, so we can deliver on this commitment at the provincial level.
Definitely. And in your communication, if people are going to write your MPPs, write everybody that you know of, and say in there that you remember. People remember having the ability to get between, that we miss it, and we know how important it is. It's our jobs, it's our families, it's our community interconnectedness that we miss it. We can't constantly be relying on cars all the time for many reasons. I think there was this idea for a little while, we thought we could just rely on cars, but we really learned that we can't.